Oh, honey, are you not feeling any better? Not even a little bit. What did the doctor say again? He couldn't find out what was wrong with me. I feel terrible and helpless. What am I going to do? Rest, darling. I'll pick up your favourite soup on my way home.
No need, dear. I made a bowl for her.
Thanks, Pam. You have been such a help.
My name is Olivia,
and I am 30 years old. I'd been sick with the terrible flu for a month and a half. I should have known it wasn't a coincidence that I began to feel ill as soon as my mother-in-law, Pam, 54, came to live with my husband, Johnny, 28 years old, and me. Her husband had separated from her years ago, and she'd been alone since then. She's been needing help with money expenses recently, as she no longer works. I don't understand why. She's still relatively young for her age, but she was banked on disability for falling at work, and since then she hasn't wanted to go back. So, like the mama's boy my husband is, she moved in with us at the beginning of June. Pam and I got along just fine, but things got tense when she moved into our house. It all started when I went to the doctor to follow up with me trying to get pregnant. I had discovered troubling news. I had a low chance of ever getting pregnant. My husband and I had been trying for over a year, and nothing was working. So hearing this news was difficult. I thought we were having issues because maybe I was stressed out from work, or it wasn't the right time. In reality, my body couldn't properly produce a baby. Disheartened by the news, I cried to my husband for nearly an hour. Our dog, Baxter, kept us company as I cried into Johnny's shoulder. He was disappointed, but Johnny said he still loved me and that we would get through this together. We could adopt kids or try other methods that the doctor had suggested. My hopes were a little up, but that didn't last long. I was in my room, resting because I was tired of crying all afternoon, when I overheard Johnny and his mother in the kitchen talking as the bedroom door was cracked. "You can't be serious! She can't get pregnant!" "Lower your voice, Mum. Olivia is already upset as is. I mean, so am I, but what can be done?" This is unbelievable! Absurd! Is this my karma? What on earth are you talking about? This is exactly why your father left me. Why are you making this about you? She ignored him and continued. I couldn't have any more kids after you. This is the one duty a woman can offer, and she can't even pop out one for you. Oh, God, how long has she known? Just today. She's lying. She must have known longer, possibly before you two got married. Mom, how can you say that? No, she didn't know, okay? The doctor should have caught this sooner, yes, but it's not her fault. There was a brief silence, and then she said, I don't think this relationship is going to last. Stop saying hurtful things. You know nothing about us. I know your father, and if you're anything like him, you will hurt her by leaving. I would never leave her. I love her with my entire heart. You'll love her until you begin to resent her. You should leave her now, before she goes on believing your lies. As of now, she has no purpose to live. I, at least, was able to give birth to you. You sound absolutely crazy. What is wrong with you? This is not a competition. I've never heard his mother be so vindictive. My heart shattered 3 times over. I began to cry harder into my pillow before struggling to get out of bed and shower to get rid of the tears. My husband found me sitting on the shower floor, shivering. He knew at first glance that I had heard everything that his mother said. That night, he forced her to apologize. She did, and I believed her because that was the first time I saw a different side to her than being sweet. She vehemently apologized repeatedly and said she didn't mean those things. It reminded her of her issues with pregnancy with Johnny's father. I accepted her apology and I thought we could move on. I was so very wrong. When his mother moved into our house, she had offered to do all of the cooking and the cleaning because Johnny and I both worked full-time. I tried offering to cook at least a few times a week, but she always declined. Besides, dinner was already ready by the time we both got home. She would serve our plates as well. A week later, after revealing my infertility issues, I began feeling a little ill, like a frog or something scratching was coming from my throat. For the first few days, it got worse, then eventually, I no longer wanted to eat solid foods. Johnny told me to go to the doctor, but I thought it was another case of a summer cold. I was wrong, of course. But how could I think my mother-in-law would do something so heinous? She went to church and was nice to be around for the most part. She even ran a book club meeting at our house on Fridays. After the second week, I went to the doctor. They found nothing wrong with me and told me I had a simple cold. I went home with some medicine. It helped initially, but again my illness only worsened in time. Eventually, I developed a horrible cough and could only stomach my mother-in-law's homemade soup. I felt extremely lousy, and I didn't know what to do. Pam was strangely very supportive and always ensured I was fed and in bed. But I should have known her overly nice attitude was a mere lie. As I said, she made homemade soup for me. My taste has gone since away, but my smell was loads better. So, when she brought the soup and handed it to me, I got a whiff of something chemically. "What's that smell?" Pam's cheeks reddened, and she took a step back. "What are you talking about, dear?" "I don't know. It just smells kind of funky. Maybe that's not the right word. Chemically." I was cleaning the kitchen. The smell must have lingered on my hands. I took a whiff of the soup, and I could faintly smell something off. "Are you sure?" "Yes, here. Smell my hands." She stuck her hands out. They smelt chemically, but didn't smell like the brand we bought. I pegged it so that I was losing my sense of smell. I shouldn't have. I should have trusted my gut. However, my emotional state was only getting worse and worse. I couldn't fight against the impending feeling of depression. I felt like I was worthless. I couldn't work or do anything productive, and the thought of being unable to provide for a family was haunting me even worse. I had more time to think. The only thing that kept me company was my dog, Baxter. He was a sweet boy, but my emotional state was getting worse and worse. During the night, I would cry and cough interchangeably. My husband tried to console me as best he could, but I felt so terrible and miserable. Eventually, he advised me to get some fresh air, as he was getting ready for work one morning. It would do me some good. I was so torn down that I didn't even want to attempt to get out of bed, but he mentioned that Baxter could need a walk. His mother usually did it in the morning for us, but she was off visiting her sister for breakfast and church. She wouldn't be back until late, since her sister lived about 2 hours away. However, Johnny informed me that his mother had made me soup before she had left, and that it was stored in the fridge. I looked down at Baxter's beautiful brown eyes and accepted his offer. Wearing my drab robe, comfortable pyjamas and slippers, I put on Baxter's leash and walked. It was rather chilly out, even though it was summer, but we went on our way. I was feeling better with every step. As expected, Baxter went number 2, and I picked it up with a waste bag. After about 30 minutes or so, I turned back towards the house, holding the waste bag in one hand and the leash in the other. Maybe my husband was right. Perhaps this is precisely what I needed. Still, that horrible cough lingered at the back of my throat. When I returned to the house, I was ready to throw away the waste bag. I lifted the trash bin top, and as I tossed it in, I noticed 2 empty small bottles of Lysol's all-purpose cleaner. Whoever dumped these must have thrown them away after the trash man came to pick them up. My husband and I didn't use Lysol's all-purpose cleaner. We always bought Pine Sol. It made me begin to wonder why we had it. I went inside into the kitchen and checked under the sink, and as expected, we had 4 bottles of Pine Sol still left. They were on sale a few weeks ago before I got sick, and about half of it was missing from one of the bottles. So why did we have Lysol's all-purpose cleaner in the trash bin outside? My husband never went shopping, so I thought my mother-in-law bought it. But why? We had cleaning stuff already in the house. Maybe a neighbour came to throw it away in our bin. That didn't make sense. Call it my intuition or instinct, but I knew something was wrong. After the weird encounter with her hands smelling like cleaner, I knew something was off. I went into my mother-in-law's bedroom and shut the door behind me. I checked in her closet to see if she had more cleaning spray. There wasn't any. Before I left the room, I decided to check under her bed, and lo and behold, I found rows of cleaner. Why was she storing so much under here? Around one of the bottles was a receipt. I dug under the bed and read the paper. The date was June the 15th. This was the next day after I told her about the pregnancy issue. A feeling of sickness began to rise. Again, I still pegged this as just being paranoid, but at the same time, I couldn't help it. And I'm glad I didn't. Setting up a camera in the kitchen was in my best interest. I knew that her food was tasting funkier and funkier with each meal, but I was too afraid to hurt her feelings. In reality, I was deeply in denial that she was trying to hurt me. I texted my friend Callie to ask if she could do me a favour with no questions. She was confused, but I told her I would talk to her soon and didn't want any questions. I asked her to pick up a hidden spy camera, and she had to be quick. She went to the nearest Best Buy and bought me one camera. She came straight to my house. I said thanks and reminded her no questions, because I saw her mouth with the tip of inquiries. I quickly set it up, and as soon as I turned it on, I heard my mother-in-law's car coming. I ran to my room out of breath and laid down in bed. She knocked on my door. Come in. She opened the door. Hey, darling, how are you feeling? Okay, I could be better. Want me to heat you some soup? Oh, okay, thanks. One more bowl of poison wouldn't kill me, right? I thought I was overthinking it. This was a bad dream. I dozed off for a little as my body was exhausted. She came back 20 minutes later and left it on my bedside table. There it was, the faint chemical smell from earlier. I ate about a quarter of it before I yelled for Pam. She came into my room. Oh, would you mind putting this up? My stomach is upset. Dear, you're losing your appetite now. I guess so. I want some rest, that's all. Okay, sure. No problem. Remember, you should only be eating chicken noodle soup. Don't let Johnny try to get you anything else. We need you stronger. I bet. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, I nabbed the camera and played it back. As I suspected, I was right. So horribly right. She left the kitchen, grabbed her spray, and squirted it directly into my bowl. Not a whole lot, but enough to make me sick. I went to the nearest restroom, puked my guts out. Luckily, I used the downstairs, so no one heard me except for Baxter. Why was she killing me, torturing me? What had I done? I was so tired and so angry, I didn't know what to do. Too exhausted from throwing up, I fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, I realised what day it was. My mother-in-law's annual book club meeting. They always started at noon on Fridays, so many of her friends were coming over. I was kept in the room because of the illness, so I rarely saw them. But today, they were going to see. Luckily for me, my husband was off of work today, and so he cared for me. I could have shown it to my husband right then and there, but something about this made me boil. I wanted to humiliate her in front of people who thought she was lovely. So I did just that. I waited in the room and listened to see if there were people downstairs by asking my husband. Of course, honey. Why? Well, I want to go say hi. I'm feeling so much better. I wasn't, but my smile disguised it. They're old, though. We don't want them to catch what you've got. Oh, come on, Johnny. I haven't seen another human being besides you and your mum. I just want to pop my head in, and I'll keep my distance. Besides, you weren't contagious after the 3-day mark. He finally relented, so we ventured downstairs. Pam was shocked to see me out of bed. I said my hellos, and as I did so, I started small talk while walking towards the TV. I held my phone in one hand and the Apple TV remote in the other. What are you doing? I made a special video for your mum. She's been such a help with my sickness, so I made her one that I would like to share with her friends. Oh, how thoughtful. Go for it. Pam looked sceptical, as she should be. Instead of a collage video, the screen flashed to Pam in the kitchen. Step by step, they saw her walk out of the camera frame. Everyone was confused and began mumbling. What's this? Pam just stood there in shock, and Johnny had a puzzled expression. She came back on camera with the Lysol spray, and they saw exactly what I did the night prior. Johnny was flabbergasted and looked directly between his mother and me. What? What? Pam's face relaxed for a second, and it was like seeing a demon in disguise before turning back into a cry. I was only trying to free you, Johnny. She can't give birth. What are you going to do with an unfit mother? You're crazy. Everyone inside that house began to erupt in anger, and foul words were thrown against my mother-in-law by her own friends. Pam was arrested. Her only excuse in the courts was I took away her chance of having grandchildren. I think it's because she has unresolved feelings over not being able to provide more children to her ex-husband. Sometimes I feel bad for Pam because she was just mentally sick, and other times I wish I had done more damage, like poisoning her food. What do you think of my story? Would you have done the same? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like.